Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Coming at you live from New York. This is Spirit Matters, your daily Bhakti Center podcast. And we are so glad you are here. This is your daily check-in. Daily meaning Monday through Friday. This is your daily spiritual check-in. How you doing? How are things going? Have you checked in with yourself? Have you paused to... I've been doing this thing, Achyuta. By the way, my name's Dal Gurung. If it's your first time, and I'm here with my co-host, Achyuta Gopi. I've been doing this thing, Achyuta Gopi, called Positive Intelligence. I think I referenced it earlier this week, and it's like the 6-week like intensive course. And a big part of it, there's like an hour video you watch every week, and then during the week you have to do this thing which he calls PQ reps, positive intelligence, where you literally just have to pause your day at various intervals. You pause, and for like literally 30 seconds to 2 minutes, you just hyper focus yourself on one central experience, whether it's something your sight or your touch or your, one exercise is like just close your eyes and gently rub 2 fingers together with such attention that you can feel the ridges on your fingertips. And the whole point is like learning to pause, take breaks, pull yourself out of the just go, go, go. I'm running down a hill kind of feeling of life, to just like pause and like reclaim a moment of your day. And so it's not that activity is so important, but it's just the practice of reclaiming and refocusing your attention. And that's what this podcast is. It's a PQ rep, a big, giant SQ rep, spiritual intelligence rep, for you to just pause, have a moment, read something spiritual, hear something from us, I guess. Reflect it on your own life. And that's why we're here. And we're so grateful we're here, that you're here. And I'm glad that you're here, Achyuta. How are you?
Blessed.
Blessed and here, in that order. I have no idea what time Achyuta quit it. I left the Bhakti Center. It was closing in on 11 o'clock, and Achyuta and family were still burning the midnight oil of kirtan at the Bhakti Center last night. And you guys were rolling.
Yeah, I think that there's a vast disparity between ages happening. I really think that there's an age issue occurring here. I've been trying to figure out for weeks what I think the issue is. I think I finally come to it. Like and then there's a gap, There's some of us who are all in one age group, and then there's the other age group, and they're a decade or 2 behind.
Yeah.
And they're the ones with all the energy.
Like,
But they're depending upon the other age group to take them home, you see. I really think that there's an imbalance between the ages happening.
We need to renegotiate the contract here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do nocturnal kirtans, and then everybody would go about their lives the next day. But they were also living off of the potency of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As much as I love these kids, none of them have that potency yet.
Yeah, totally. No, it's real. Wednesday was Radha Swami's birthday, and a few of us had a little gathering here. I heard you weren't feeling well. Are you okay?
I'm heading there. I think,
Yeah.
like
A lot of people are not feeling well right now. There's a lot of people that didn't come because they weren't feeling well. I wasn't feeling well the week before. But anyways, I cooked, and I used to cook for a lot of the programs at the Bhakti Center, and
oh
I
my
cooked.
gosh.
Yeah, and I cooked. It was like 6 hours like cooking, and I remember at the end of it, I was like, I'm not the same young man I used to be.
You're like, how did I ever
I need a week off and a daily massage to bring my muscles back to normal. And so yeah, it's happening. It happens to all of us. When Radha Swami was here in October, he did a program, and it was Narottam Das Thakur's disappearance day, I think, one of a great saint in our movement. And he spoke a little bit about him. And at the end of it, all of it, I just said, Maharaj, you're amazing. He said, no, I'm not. In my younger days, I'd still be speaking about Narottam Das Thakur. You know? And so but somebody asked me that Indra Swami was here last night at the Bhakti Center. And I was just writing about it right now because I was going to send a video out to the community, and like these little weekly videos are going to talk about it because he just absolutely just blew the roof off the place. And I took some pictures, and somebody was asking, like, do you think it's like, is it real? Like, is this real? Like, they were in a genuine sense. Because I'm in a space where it's like, like you were saying, it's like one more day, there's an age gap. And and sometimes I'm just like getting through the process, like, okay, I gotta go, I gotta do this and that. And they're thinking, like, is that enthusiasm real, or is he just like as a service and obligation, like I gotta infuse the community? I'm just like, what I felt was real. Like this man, and I think what I see in certain senior devotees who are infused with spiritual energy, like they just take the basics of spiritual life very, very seriously, like the holy name, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, visiting the holy Dham and spiritual places. Like they just are constantly generating that spiritual energy in their life, and it just explodes. Like they're just walking balls of spiritual potency, because he was just, nobody asked him to get up and dance and split the crowd and pull people in. And he had a nunta dancing, he had me dancing, and people were like, I've never seen you dance like that. And I was like, Maharaj, you know.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And so I feel like it was just powerful, potent, spiritual energy that just keeps you going. It was beautiful. But I'm not there yet. We're both like, And so
Yeah.
if you missed
I
it and you're in New York, Mars is going to be in town again tonight. Part
Woohoo.
2. Chuch and I are debating if we're going to make it.
Oh, and I have to make it. I don't know how, we together are gonna do a little experiment called depending on Krishna's mercy.
That's
um, but I actually I think it'll work. It always works. It'll work. It's just I'll check in tomorrow and see.
dependent on Krishna's mercy and ibuprofen. This is your daily check, and we read Bhagavad Gita and pop ibuprofen. We find that combination really gets us going.
Do you know what's funny? I actually can't take ibuprofen.
Good for
Like
you.
I can't take any NSAIDs. I have like
Mm,
a medical condition
the
where it
condition.
literally like it's like one NSAID and it strips the entire lining from my
Wow.
stomach.
Oh,
And I feel
Krishna.
like
They do that.
I'm being turned inside out. But and for me it's so sensitive that literally just one is enough. And then I'm in agony for weeks. It's
What do you
about
do? Otherwise, you just deal with it.
Tylenol.
Tylenol.
And sometimes you want to know what really works?
This podcast brought to you by.
If you just if you just go home and slather your entire self in like Tiger Balm and Vicks and then hope for the best.
You might make it.
You might make it.
So senior spiritual devotees lather themselves in the holy name and Bhagavad Gita. We lather ourselves in Vicks and Tiger
Vicks and
Balm
Tiger Balm.
and surround ourselves and go watch the Great British Baking Show. Pharmagita. Smart said Pharmagita. Oh, Krishna. All right. So that's our daily check-in. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
That's what happens when you ask me how I am.
I see how I am, but I think it's important. I think it is important. We're here. We're awake. We got 15 minutes left in today's episode. So
Oh my
yesterday
gosh. Did we really spend 15 minutes?
we did. That's
That's
how it
crazy.
is. People appreciate it. I think a few more people fell deeper in love with the podcast, and I think the other half we lost them. They've moved on. But those of you who are still listening, we are proud of you and we appreciate you. And we
And
promise we're going to get to the Gita.
we are. And you know what? And I just want to say that if you're also like me, you're not alone. You're not a weirdo who can't take NSAIDs or aspirin. Like you know,
Oh, what?
you're not alone.
You're not alone in that.
You are not alone.
You're not alone. Don't feel like you just have to do it on your own. Where did we leave off yesterday? We were on
We were on
uh
313, and we were talking
313.
about the
Yeah.
contract of being in love with the Lord, which I love, 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 love. And we were
Love, love,
talking about
love.
Santas.
Santas, that's right. I had a dream of that verse. I was sharing it with Vasudev, the purport, and I was trying to find it. I thought, and I for some I thought the verse was in the Bhagavatam. It's here in the Santas. Santas. The verse is talking about Santas, which is saints. Santa means peaceful, devoted person. Prabhupada said, one who is dedicated to spiritual life are known as Shantas, but it reads Santas.
I like it.
Anyways,
Which I think it's kind of cool that you're still trying to like share spiritual wisdom even in your dreams. It's
even in
actually
my
really awesome.
dreams.
It's
Yeah,
really awesome.
I don't know if spiritual wisdom are just trying to have a joke.
I
One
love
of the
that it
two.
still works.
It
Like,
still works.
what's amazing is a lot of people ask me that. What if I have a Krishna conscious dream, or I see a deity in my dream, or a spiritual teacher in my dream? Like, what does it mean? What's happening? And the reality is, and many of our spiritual teachers say that when you have those spiritual experiences, even in your dreams, they're not just considered dreams. This is how spiritual literature and spiritual entities and spiritual teachers actually are still communicating with you, just in a
Mm,
more subtle form. So I feel like we've been on this Bhagavad Gita journey, and now Bhagavad Gita is like reciprocating with you, even subtly in your dreams. Like, it's actually phenomenal and really, really cool. Um, because if we think about it, it's like this dream state, nobody can control that even, it's like
mm.
the weirdest
What's in there comes
lucid
up.
experience ever. And we're just kind of trusting that we're all gonna make it back into our gross bodies and wake up the next day, and nobody gives any thought to it at all. Everybody's like, it's totally normal. We're like, this is actually not the most normal thing that we can ever think of. Like, we're gonna go to sleep, we're gonna close our eyes and enter into this deep state where everything shuts down, and then our gross bodies and our subtle bodies are slightly separated. How how do we think any of this is going to
No,
work?
it's
And
bizarre.
it
I felt
is.
I think we probably sound like we're like lacking sleep and had one too many Tylenols. Like it's bizarre, man. You do this thing and like your subtle body and your gross body, they like separate, man. It's not normal. But it is true. It is one of those total things. It's like, where does that live? Where does that
Yeah.
exist? And it's one of those things. Introduce Swami, two things. So I was going to quote something else, but then you also brought it up. The idea he was talking about spiritual life, where the Hare Krishna mantra comes from, the spiritual atmosphere, um, a spiritual world, a spiritual reality, and he was talking about how he's talking about reincarnation, um, and so many things that we just like dismiss. But then there are so many things that we experience in this life that we just kind of like pass off, you know, as just like the fact that we dream and like we're sleeping and we have this whole other alternate experience of life that we just don't like, oh, I don't know what that means. But another thing that Mara said, I really appreciated it. I think it's related to the verse that we were reading, and you said about and basically this section of the Gita, this whole section of karma yoga, really, in one sense, it's teaching us how to love. It's teaching us how to be selfless. The idea of sacrifice, the idea of spiritual discipline, the idea of having a lifestyle centered around spiritual life, the idea of this whole idea of yajna, which means sacrifice, of going outside of our comfort zone to give a piece of ourselves to something beyond ourselves. And it's just like even in the later in the 12th chapter of the Gita, Krishna has that whole sequence. It's like, you know, do perform everything you do as a service to me. If you can't do that, then do this. And if you can't do that, then do this. And at a certain point, he's like, just do positive charitable actions, because it puts you in the mindset of like, I'm not the center of the universe. What I have is meant to be given back in service. And so Indradyumna Swami had this translation of the Mahamantra that he referenced. That one time Srila Prabhupada was asked, like, what does this mantra mean? And so often we hear it means the energy of God. It means God Himself. It means, you know, all these direct meanings of the Hare Krishna mantra. And Prabhupada said, oh, it means my friend, my friend, my friend. Meaning it's like it's a petition, it's a call to your friend to come and pick me up, you know. Never wait after school for your parents to come pick you up. It's like basically it's like calling. And Mars was at one point when Mars got to the middle of the temple room. I went up to go transfer the prasad. I came back, Mars is sitting in the middle of the temple room and people were dancing and like clapping and cheering. I was like, what happened when I left? You know, but Mars is just like my friend, you know, he was just like calling that out. And so I think that that really is, as you were saying, that it's really we're rekindling and rebuilding a friendship with Krishna through these verses, and the practices that are here. In one sense, when you read it, it can seem to be on this lower level of like give and take, and there's talks about demigods, and there's talks about like, you know, um offering things back in a mood of worship, but really it's like it's actually all meant to create within us a sense of I'm not in the center, I'm giving back, and I'm trying to flex and develop my love muscles, my selfless muscle, my friendship muscle, and I'm doing it in a mood of trying to petition Krishna to reciprocate with me, by showing up in a mood of a friend. I
Can
thought of you when he said that because he said supreme friend.
It's so funny. I had heard that translation, I want to say maybe 6, 7 years ago. And from the moment I heard it, it became my favorite translation for the Mahamantra.
Mm,
I actually haven't used another one since. When somebody
mm,
asks me what the Mahamantra means, I've used that one ever since,
mm.
because it is so simple. And Krishna consciousness really is that simple. Um, can I share a story that I have never shared publicly before?
Yes.
Like I just realized I was like, I don't think I've ever shared this publicly ever before. Probably because I thought people were gonna think I was crazy, but it's fine.
Yesterday, I
Since we're
shared a picture
talking,
of me taking. Yesterday, I shared a story of me taking pictures of people on the beach of Greece with a Bhagavad Gita next to your head. After I was like, should I have shared that?
yeah.
so, so I'm the weirdo in the group. Okay.
So once there was a devotee that I had kind of grown up knowing. And man, I want to say either 2012, 2013, one of those years. Somewhere around there, he passed away. He's a Prabhupada disciple. And he used to act and direct a lot of the dramas in the Brooklyn Temple. I kind of born and raised. And maybe about 10, 12, almost 13 days after he had passed, I was sleeping and I had a dream. And in the dream, he was at the Brooklyn Temple and I was at the Brooklyn Temple. And I looked and I kind of asked him, I was like, what are you doing here? Because somehow in the dream I realized that you'd left. What are you doing here? And he said, oh, I want to ask you a question. I'm like, me? He said, let's go to the temple room and discuss. And so we had been downstairs in the place where they kind of serve out prasadam and spiritual food. And then we went upstairs to the temple room. And ironically enough, we were in the temple room, but the deities were closed. And he asked me, he said, so I have these guides and they say I have a choice. And I said, well, what's the choice? He said, well, they said that I can go with them, and they'll show me everything that they know, or I can take another human birth. And they've assured me that I'll take another human birth. So which one should I do? And I was like, well, I said, well, did you ask those guides about Krishna? And he said, I did. I said, well, what did they say? And he said, well, my guide said, you must be someone really special. Even we don't have access to all of that. So you must be really special. He said, what do you think I should do? And I said, well, Prabhu, one thing you always told me was that no matter what, no matter whatever happened throughout your life, you never stopped chanting Hare Krishna. Even if it was one round, you yourself said that every day you would at least chant something. So maybe that's the key. Maybe we just chant and see what Krishna does. And I remember him saying, he said, that's it. That's the key. Never stop chanting. I guess we never stopped chanting. And then he got up and he was so happy and he was chanting Haribol. And then he left the temple room and the deities opened. And then I woke up and I was like, what a bizarre experience. But Krishna consciousness is somehow that simple and that advanced that not everybody has access to it. And that I always feel when we get into the crux of these verses and what you think about is where you go and all of these things. And I think it's just to show us that this material world is more vast than we could ever imagine. And the fact that we have access to this Krishna consciousness, it is simple, but not to be taken lightly. But it really is that simple. And I remember thinking, may I never take the holy name for granted ever again. It is that simple. Sometimes we get caught up in so many of the things that we must do. Yeah, all the do's, all the list of things, but it can be as simple as just staying true to the holy name. Sometimes we can't perfect everything, but maybe just one thing. And so Srila Prabhupada is talking about Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, like Archanam. It doesn't have to be all the things that we make perfect. Maybe if we just become really good listeners, maybe if we just become really good rememberers, it can be that simple. And our greatest fortune is that we get to know about Krishna and to know that we're in a loving contract with our friend. Not everybody knows. Even really advanced people just might not know. They might be so close and still not know.
That story is going to stay with me for my life. I'm gonna can I make a request, something we've never done on the podcast before, since we're in the spirit of doing things we've never done before. Because I was talking about Introducing Swami earlier and about how people take the simple things of spiritual life so seriously and it fuels them. And then you were telling the story about this dream and this devotee of like recognizing how powerful the Mahamantra is, um, and then yourself, a life dedicated to kirtan. I thought, because we only got a minute left, and we got Kimberly to take it away for us. I was thinking like we should just say the Maha Mantra, just give it to people and just let like that be a closing meditation. And I was like, maybe at Chittagopi should just sing one mantra for us 2 times so that anybody out there can respond, that people can, you can have your moment of kirtan. Like this is your, not a whole round, but just one Maha Mantra that you can just have that gift and to hear it and to receive it. And then at Chittagopi people will sing it twice so that you can have an opportunity to sing back. Do you want to sing one Maha Mantra for us?
Sure. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare, Hare.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel full. I feel nourished. It's not the breakfast burrito that I had already. I just haven't had a breakfast burrito.
Also, not the Tylenol or the Vicks. I feel a lot better, actually. I'm not gonna
feel-
lie.
I feel better. I feel full. That was gorgeous. I feel so grateful. And wherever you're listening, know that you're not listening alone. So many people are feeling connected with you. And yeah, thank you, Chuta, for being you, for everything you're offering to the world. Thank you, everyone, for being here this week. We've got Kimberly, our appointed Rapida Pachari, that's going to share with us a few takeaways before we head out the door today. Kimberly, you got something for us?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. So today we're taking away to do positive charitable actions because it puts us into the mindset that we're not the center. Rekindle a friendship with Krishna. And it's as simple as being true to the holy name.
Those are some great ones. Lot of emotions, emojis blowing up in the chat here. Oh, somebody said that somebody said they're in chemotherapy, and that was a hug to their soul. Thank you, Chuta. Closing word.
Maybe we just never stop chanting.
Yeah, that struck with me more than anything, because I'm the kind of a person that if the day isn't going a certain way by like 2 o'clock, I'm like, it's a wash. Like, this day's done. Just give up on the day. I'm gonna try again tomorrow, as opposed to like, no, the day's not over ever, you know? And that like I can always reset and reach out and reconnect, in the simplest of ways. And the only thing that I just gotta put aside is my ego of like, I'm not as perfect as I would like or want to be. And the great news is that doesn't need to be. Like, I can at any point restart that engine and reconnect and plug back in just one simple act. And so thank you for giving us today, Chuta. Appreciate you and love you in so many ways, and just you being you. And everybody else on here, our live Zoom audience, our people out there in podcast land. If you'd like to get on the Zoom room, just write to us at spiritmatters@bhakticenter.org, or Google search Bhakti Center Spirit Matters, or go to our website, bhakticenter.org, and find our webpage and get our Zoom link there. And we'd love to have you join in with us live. Otherwise, keep being you. And we're so grateful for you. And we're off for the weekend. So we will see you all again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.